generous introduction. I was told that I would have 5 to 10 minutes, and then they got back with me after they asked Ben to do the introductory remarks and said, since Ben will be doing the introduction, could you keep it to 2 to 3 minutes? Thank you so much, and thank you for your friendship. It's meant the world. I'm also grateful for the community at the table just behind where Ben is, colleagues of mine, 2 of your trustees here at Columbia, one who was a classmate of Ben's and mine, and one who was a colleague of mine in Columbia, South Carolina, before he made sure I left the city for clear and obvious reasons. And colleagues of mine from Oklahoma that have been a sustaining force and a source of joy and laughter and care over the last 20 years. So thanks to you all as well. Most especially to my family that's at the front desk, to my wife, front table, I guess it is, of almost 28 years, Nadia Rosales, and our 3 children, Austin, Joshua, and Alexis, Milford Rosales. Y'all are tops. Thank you for being here. The story here was nothing that was planned. I never envisioned mental health ministry being a part of what my call would be about. But as Ben mentioned, we had multiple deaths by suicide in our congregation that left all of us, but it felt like me especially, feeling incredibly inadequate. Like if I could go back and redo things, it would probably turn out the same because I didn't know what to do, how to help, how to care, how to respond. And I talked about that with our session, and we decided on our retreat. We were in beginning year 3 of what would be 6 years of capital campaigns to rebuild probably about 2/3 of our campus. And we said we've got to get our heads out of building and think about what is our mission? Who are we here for? How are we going to serve the community around us? And a corollary to that seemed to be whatever we decided would be our foundational, central, missional identity into the community around us. It ought to be something that's an underserved need that maybe not every other church is also trying to do. And coming out of the pain of the losses we had, we said mental health ministry, and we had no idea what that would mean. We didn't know how to do it. We didn't have any models for it. And so we said, well, let's try this. And we had one woman who was there at the meeting, Carrie Weinbrenner, who is either just graduated or about to graduate from Austin Seminary. And another, Carrie volunteered. Another woman was voluntold, as we say in San Antonio. But she readily accepted the challenge as well. Shelley Bossy is her name. And within 2 weeks, I think, a month at most, 5 other women had said, we're on board, we'll help with this. And they forged what became the Beautiful Minds Coalition. And they're doing extraordinary work in our congregation to help us all learn how to care for people living with mental illness, how to walk together to recognize this isn't a patriarchal kind of mission. This is a us together kind of ministry. And so page 2, you'll note, is just bullets of all the kinds of things they've done. And this has just been over the last 3.5 years, really, since they formed. I did the funeral for an 89-year-old man in our congregation just a couple of weeks ago. And his daughter, who does not attend our church, adult daughter, showed me a picture that she had of him. And she said, you know, he wasn't someone to share his affection very openly. She said, but look, he cared about people living with mental illness. He had his thumbnail painted green to represent the 1 in 5 people living with mental illness. And she thought that was so cool. And his wife said, honey, Dan knows that we do this at our church. But it was neat to see a living witness of someone who's impacting through this ministry. Our General Presbyter, Sally Watson, ended up introducing us to an elder and pastor at Hope Presbyterian, where Phil Gaiman has a grandson? Son that is a member. And they had the dream of taking an overture to celebrate the Comfort My People, document the 10-year anniversary. I'm cynical enough about Presbyterians that I think we love to pat ourselves on the back about nice statements, but then we don't do anything about it. That's my cynicism. And so I said, throw money at it. Throw money at it so they'll have to talk longer and take it more seriously, and at least it will get, well, unbeknownst to us, this is a conversation that people have been waiting to have. And so it passed with all the funding, with more funding put to it through Sarah Leisherness, our Jedi Master, as we call her at Compassion, Peace, and Justice Ministry. And there's been a vibrant ministry moving forward, really still beginning, but moving forward. So in your packet, quick overview on page 1. Page 2, Beautiful Minds Coalition and things that they do. Pictures up here are mostly of them in action and the 7 women that make up that group right now. Some of those pictures are in your packet as well. Page 4 is Compassion, Peace, and Justice Ministries. The overture that we took to General Assembly in 2018 set in motion the funding for grants, $250,000 for grants to congregations, presbyteries, and seminaries doing mental health ministry in seminaries. Did I mention Julie? Things that we can use, seminaries? Yeah. Also, it created funding for a full-time mental health ministry associate, which is Donna Miller, and she's doing an extraordinary job, an absolutely wonderful job at the helm. And it also said we need to found this Presbyterian Mental Health Network. And so we had the opportunity in October to meet here at Columbia. Very grateful to Columbia for helping make that possible and have great space for us over here at, and I can't remember the name, what was Simon's Hall? BLC. To be able to meet together and begin the work. So you see on page 5, Presbyterian Mental Health Network. The last things, a dozen things we wish you knew. This is me reaching out to about a dozen folks living with mental health concerns and asking them, what do you wish your pastor knew? What do you wish your congregation knew? And so this is their response. And they wish all of us knew this. And then the next thing, a dozen things your congregation can do in mental health ministry. If you, like me, never thought about going into this area, you may not know where to begin. An image I invite you to hold on to is picture a congregation, any size, a congregation with 20 children between the ages of 3 and 12. 20 children between 3 and 12. Would that congregation have any way of trying to direct ministry into the lives of those children? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And congregations that have no children are still trying to do children's ministry. Are we not? Right? Hoping that they'll come. Almost every congregation that has at least 20 members has either 20 people living with mental health concerns or 20 people who are the child of someone, the spouse of someone, the parent, the sibling of someone living with mental health concerns. It's a desperate need out there. And so my hope, my dream is that every church that has some kind of children's ministry program, whether it's a children's sermon, Sunday school, vacation Bible school, you name it, that many congregations will have some kind of way of acknowledging the presence of mental health concerns in their community and reaching out and caring and equipping. So 12 things you can do. Back page, ways to get involved. And some of that is just reading the previous stuff. But one thing I'd like to add to that, and I'll leave it to your reading pleasure. On February 8th, Rose McCurdy, some of you may have been classmates of Rose, but she's a graduate of Columbia Seminary, I think 2008 or so. Rose is going to be taking to Wind Midstream, no. Recreational vehicle, no. Winnebago Presbytery, and sorry, I was trying to be funny to get it to stay with Winnebago Presbytery in Wisconsin. An overture to the 224th General Assembly this summer in 2020. And the overture is to commend everything that's happened, which sounds like the exact kind of overture I hate, where we as Presbyterians pat ourselves on the back for something. But I do believe it's an important overture to name what's happened over the last year and a half or so, and to encourage it to go forward into the future. The Presbyterian Mission Agency Board will be voting on the report that Donna wrote for that. And there's a link to help you find that if you would like to read that report, one of the best that's been written in many years from a group and an organization. And that report will include, or it does include, encouraging funding for grants going forward into the next 2 years, for funding for a mental health associate continuing forward. And so, you know, we hope it will be passed by the Presbyterian Mission Agency Board completely and then funded completely. But bringing it up to the Assembly again and saying we still need this. Concurrences from all of your presbyteries to that overture will help send a message again. This matters to us. This is important to us. This saves lives in our congregations. Thank you very much for your time. This was born out of pain, out of loss, but it's filled with hope. It's filled with stories of these 7 wonderful women. Of the original 7, none of them had ever served as a liturgist in our worship services. But they put together a service of the longest night on December 21st, and they lead it in beauty, in grace, in care, and it's wonderful to see people who found themselves on the periphery of our congregation, finding themselves leading and guiding us into new ways of doing ministry together that we had never imagined. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to this.